Hello and good afternoon. Today I'm going to give you one of my testimonies. It's going to be kind of long and I don't know how to edit videos, so um, all of my mistakes will be left in. So please give me some grace if you watch this. If you watched to the end, thank you. But today I really felt the need to to put my testimony on my channel. And this is one of my testimonies, but it's definitely um, a bigger one, I guess. That's a way to say it. But you'll see as I go in. I do want to give a disclaimer. My testimony involves talking about blood, um, involves talking about surgery, um, possible death, um, menstruation. Lots of menstruation talk is going to happen. And if that's something that grosses you out, please do not watch, because I won't be uh, disguising or hiding anything or using another word or anything like that. So if any of those things are deal breakers for you, roadblocks for you, please do not watch. Okay, so this all kind of started, basically this is a testimony of a miracle. The fact that I'm sitting here making this video, talking to this poor quality camera is a miracle. And this is the story of how this particular miracle of God happened. So let's lay the groundwork for why the miracle was even needed in the first place. So a little something personal about me is I don't like going to the doctor. For a time period, I used to actually work for a hospital, and I still didn't really go to the doctor. So back in 2024, 2023, basically, this is involving my menstruation, my period. Over the years, I've always had a long period time. I've always was on, ever since I got my period when I was like in middle school, I always had, it was always like 7 days long. Oh, and sorry if you hear things in the background. I have my window open. It's really hot. I have a fan right here. I have a fan back there. So sorry about that. Anyway, I've always had really long periods. They would go like, 7 days, ever since I was little. Um, but when I got near to my 30s, because I'm 33, turning 34 right now, and oh, sorry, I'm looking over here because I have like an outline here to keep myself on track. Anyway, what was I saying? Sorry, I lost my train of thought. So yeah, so I always had a long period, always a full week, always full 7 days, ever since I was young. Oh, that's what I was saying. Around the time I got in my 30s, my period started getting really heavy, really heavy. And around 2024, I was to the point that for my periods, I had to start using an overnight always pad, which they're about like this long. That's like my arm. They're like this long. Um, and I had to use an ultra size tampon. To the point where like um, I just had to, and I had to use those at the same time. So I would have the tampon, and I would wear the pad, which isn't really. I found out later that that's not normal. Um, and I would go through a tampon and the tampon pad duo because I always used them together. Again, this is around 2024. Um, I would use maybe 7 of those a day at least when I was on my period. I didn't think anything of it because it gradually, my periods, the um, it gradually grew. Is grew the right word? Um, it was gradual, the amount of blood I was losing at a time. So, um, let's skip to 2025 because, like I said, I really wasn't seeing the doctor. I was able to keep up with it because I had my tampons and pads and I was covered. Um, in 2025, I started feeling weak. Um, and I didn't really think it was my period. Um, but I just started feeling weak every day. Um, and weak as in I was tired all the time. I was heavily fatigued. Um, it's so hard to describe it because I was living like this for so long that I had adapted to it and I didn't see it as an issue. I didn't see it as something wrong, as something that was a problem. So I'm trying to recall how it was before everything hit the fan. I just remember when my period would come, I would feel weak. I would feel extremely tired. Um, I would have very intense cravings. Another thing I had started doing was my cravings for sugar had got so intense that I don't know if you guys remember Smarties. They look like little. They would come in these twist packs, and they were these small little pellets, and they're kind of tart. Um, they're called Smarties. If you look them up, you'll see, and you might remember them if you stopped eating them. I would buy a bag of them, like a bag you would buy like for Halloween. I would go through a bag of Smarties every weekend. And that was, I think I started doing that around 2023, 2025. I don't eat them anymore. Anyway, and if I couldn't get Smarties, uh, I just wanted something really sugary. I wanted sugary powder, and then so if I couldn't do that, I would actually eat sugar. Just eat sugar. I would go in the cabinet and go get like a spoonfuls of sugar and eat sugar. At one point, I would buy sugar cubes because I found that my store, and this was in 2025, my local grocery store had sugar cubes. So I would buy those and I would literally just pop 2 or 3 in my mouth at a time and eat them. And I I had a lot of shame concerning it. I even went to eating Splenda because the sugar was making me gain even more weight. And again, I couldn't explain it. I just like, oh, I just really like it. but I did feel insecure about it because I knew I shouldn't be eating it, but I couldn't stop myself. So, and again, no, I didn't go to the doctor concerning this. I just thought I developed a weird habit. Um, and I didn't see the eating of the sugar connected to anything. Um, anyway, eventually, what started happening is my periods started going longer than usual. So at this time, even though my bleeding was very heavy, um, my periods were still stopping at 7 days. They were still stopping, and then every so often it will go to like at the most at the most 9 days. Actually, I can't even remember. I think I was a standard 7 day person. So after um, I think mid 2025, my periods start going longer, like 10 days or more. And those weeks were really hard on my body. I remember deciding to, it had to be like a week before I got my period. I decided I wanted to, make some moves to actually get healthy, to, do something about my health. So I start trying to go for walks early in the morning before the day would really start, like just when the sun would come out, go for a walk. And I remember feeling a tightness in my chest, but it also reminded me of I would get bronchial spasms when I was younger, and I would have a lot of respiratory sickness issues. I just thought it was that. I was like, oh, I must be trying to get a cold in my chest, and because it feels a bit tight, I'm like, oh. So I start coughing, like forcing myself to cough, to possibly like cough up the phlegm, but it wouldn't come. And I was like, okay, maybe it's the combination of the fact I've been eating a ton of sugar, I'm eating a ton of sweets, and I haven't been working out. I'm a heavier person. So maybe all those things together equals, you know, and maybe I'm trying to get a cold, all those things. So I could reason it away and was like, wow, I'm really out of shape. That's what my thought was. I'm really out of shape, and that's why um, I'm feeling like this. I'm feeling weak. Um, I'm just out of shape. I started, and so what eventually happened, so if you haven't been grossed out yet, I'm about to talk about more blood here. I'm going to be very candid, but I have to be um, to give my testimony proper. Uh, at this point, again, it's mid 2025. My periods are going from 10 to 14 days long. Um, my period blood is very watery. It's watery at this point. Um, I got to the point where I start taking days off of work to have my period. Like the first 2 days of my period, I hoped that it would always be on the weekend, and for the most part, always happened to be on the weekend, and every so often it would be on the weekday, and I would take those days off. I would take those days off of work to just deal with my period. Because I was to the point where I was changing my tampon and pad every 1 to 2 hours a day, even with wearing the Ultra Kotex tampon, because that's the biggest and most absorbent tampon I could find at the store, and I would buy the big box of it. and I would buy the Always overnight, or I would buy like the Kroger brand all overnight. And at that point, I got to the point where I was wearing maxi pads. The not the Always, because at first I was using the Always ultra thin. I got to the point I was using the maxi pads with the Kotex ultra tampon. And again, even using the maxi pad, 1 to 2 hours, I had to go in the bathroom and change, and to, you know, it was a process to the changing out of my sanitary items. It was a process. Like, I would at the very least need 10 minutes in the bathroom, if not more. Sometimes it would be up to 30 minutes in the bathroom. And so I just didn't want to deal with that. It's because the first 2 to 3 days of my period was brutal. Um, I got to the point where the first 2 to 3 days of my period, I didn't really sleep well at night because, again, I had to keep changing my tampon and pad, so I couldn't just stay asleep all night. I became very sensitive to my body, and sensitive to the fact of did I feel anything in my sleep? And if I would feel something, I would get up. Um, so that meant the first for 2 to 3 days I wasn't sleeping well, just because I couldn't, for my health, for my bed, and for my well-being, my peace of mind, I should say. I just couldn't. Um, Eventually, oh yes, I had started having to change things too. I started feeling so tired. So at my job, there's like 3 flights of stairs to get to my office, and those stairs was so hard to climb. Um, I would go so slow. If somebody was trying to get up the stairs at the same time as me, I would stop and smash myself against the wall to let them go by. I remember one time it was so hard to get up the stairs, I literally sat down on the stairs. It was early in the morning, so thankfully no one was really there, and I literally just sat down. Um, I had to, because it was so tough getting up the stairs, and when I would get up, I would breathe that hard just to get to my office. Um, so, and also my job is only like 10 minutes away. It was just 10 minutes away from my house, and I used to just take the public transit there. It would be there in 10 minutes, and all I would have to do is just walk across the street. But the walk to from my house to the bus stop, which is really, at a normal person who's smaller than me, healthier than me, probably could get to the bus stop within 5 to 7 minutes. A bigger person like my size, walking leisurely, 10 minutes. Uh, those walks became brutal. It became brutal. Uh, I remember having to plan out leaving the house at least 20 minutes ahead to walk it, because I would feel so exhausted. I got to the point where I just started taking the Uber every day. I just start Ubering to work, Ubering home. And by the grace of God, I always had enough money to do that. I was able to ask my mom for money. I still live with her, and to get money for the Uber to get me to and from work. And my mom would ask me about it, like, you just taking that Uber all the time? And I'm like, yeah. And at the time, I was just like, just feeling lazy. I mean, I could walk. I don't want to. And the reality was, it exhausted me. I was I was so tired. Um, and before I move on to the next part, um, I remember having this moment in my bed where I felt so physically weak that I remember holding up my arms above my head, and my arms felt so almost detached, like I wasn't. It was such a weird feeling. I felt lightheaded. That's what it was. I was lightheaded. I didn't recognize that that's what I had been feeling. And I would feel that fairly often, this lightheaded feeling. Like I felt drunk. That's how I would describe it. I felt drunk. Anyway, um, yeah, I think that's it. Um, oh, one more before I go. uh, one more before I go. One more before I get to the next part. I went to this music festival with my friends, and we had to walk up this large hill to get there. And they just had to walk ahead of me. I remember my chest feeling so tight, but I got my body up there and I danced with them all night. And I do remember feeling really weak. But I just again attribute that to I'm a plus size girl, and I'm doing stuff. I'm moving my body. It's not used to being moved, and uh, that's what I thought it was. So when did things get bad? One night, I think this was in November. Um, yeah, it was in November. Uh, I, oh, sorry. I went to see a doctor in September because my period was like 14 days long and it was still going. And so I made an appointment with OBGYN. It's my first time doing that. And I told her what was happening. I told her about how many pads I was using and tampons and all that stuff. And I remember the nurse, she was really sweet, but she was like, "What?" Her eyes was like, "You use how much?" And I'm like, I just have a heavy flow. And she's like, that's not normal. I was like, "Is that not normal?" She said, "No, it's not." She's like, "It's not." So at that point, I did have a few, I think one appointment with OBGYN at that point, one or two. Anyway, one night in November, I started feeling really, really bad, and I felt sick, like I had got a cold or something like that. I felt like I had got a bug, and I vomited. Well, it was over the weekend, so I was feeling sick, and my tongue was white. My tongue was completely white. Uh, I had never seen my tongue that white before. I was like, wow, I'm really sick. It wasn't white like something was coating it. It was white like it was devoid of color. In particularly, it was devoid of blood, and it was white from it. It was like a pale pink color compared to like a red tongue, like your tongue's supposed to be. So it wasn't like coated in anything. Anyway, I had started feeling really sick, and I went from thinking I had like a congestion cold, again because of the tightness in my chest and everything, to um, I vomited out of nowhere. I just got, all of a sudden I just felt sick and like something had to come up, and I started throwing up everything I ate. And then I drank water, and then I threw up the water. And my mom was like, "Do you want to go to the doctor?" Because this was like I think in the middle of the night. And she's like, "You want to go to the doctor?" I was like, "No, no, no. I think it stopped. I think I'm okay." I was like, "Maybe I should." I didn't know what to do because, again, I don't like going to the doctor. And I eventually became, I thought I was okay. I thought, my stomach still felt a bit off, but I just got done vomiting. So, and then I thought I was okay. And then I vomited again. And I kept gagging. Uh, there was nothing, I was heaved when there was nothing left to heave, but I was still heaving. And I was like, yes, I need to go to the doctor. So my mom got dressed. Um, I put on some sweats, and she drove me to the nearest ER. Um, and I remember my mom, she had to go park the car, and I was like, I'll just walk inside. I can walk inside. She asked me if I need help. Like, nope, you can go park the car. I'll go inside. I mean, I wasn't that enthusiastic, but I said no, I can walk inside. And at that point, I was walking really, really slow because my body felt so weak at that time. So I shuffled in, gave them my name, provided my insurance card and all of that, and sat down. Um, then I was triaged by the nurse. And I told the nurse, um, I told her I had been vomiting, and I told her uh, there was something important I said to her that ticked her off, that something important was happening. I told her I had been vomiting and I feel extremely weak. Um, I, I told her something else, but I forget what else I said. Um, I got sent back to the ER in the room. They gave me a room, and they did the normal triage stuff. They checked my blood and this stuff. And so for the blood, they went to go pull. They filled up like I think a test tube or two, um, and then they took it back. And my nurse, I remember his name is Adam. Um, Adam took my blood. He was gone, and he came back and he was like, lab is being ridiculous. They're saying there's no blood in the tubes I gave them. I you They said there's something wrong with it. There's no blood in there. No hemoglobin is in there. He said, okay. So he just thought lab was being ridiculous. So he was like, okay, do you guys see I have these test tubes? You see they are empty. You see. He was literally waving in front of us, and we were like, yep, it's empty. And he filled it up. He said, okay, you see it. I see it. You see it. Like, yes, they are full. And he left and he went back to the lab. And that's when the truth came out. Sorry, it's been 30 minutes, but I had lost so much blood um, that I was seen by 3 doctors, the ER doctor, and then 2 internal medicine doctors came down from other departments in the hospital to see me and to check my chart and my labs. I had to stay overnight, but basically, um, I was told a normal hemoglobin percentage or rate was like 12, and I was at 3. I was told that I don't have blood in my body to be functioning. They it Adam, the nurse, said usually people who, I guess, hemoglobin is down to 5 or 6, they have heart attacks. And I was at 3. I had, by Adam, the nurse, um, I remember he was like, "How did you get in here?" And I was like, well, she drove. Talking to my mom, and I was like, she drove, and she parked the car, and I walked in. He's like, "You walked in?" I was like, "Yes, I did." And at one point, I had to use the restroom, and it was right across the hall, so I didn't have to walk far. And they had me hooked up to the machines and things, and I was like, "Oh, I really have to use the restroom." And I remember Adam, he was like, "You need help? Do, do, do you need help?" He had his hands out like this, and like, And I was like, No, I'm fine. I don't feel I'm good. I'm good." And I did. I just slowly shuffled over to the bathroom, used the bathroom, came back. And no one was paying attention to the fact that I threw up. I thought that was more important when I first got to the ER. Anyway, um, so at that point, I was still trying to understand what that meant. I just felt weak, so I understood that the weakness I had been feeling was because I didn't have any blood in my body. I hardly had any. I was running on empty. I was told by one internal medicine doctor that not only did I have not have any blood, I was extremely anemic, and to the point I didn't have any iron either in my system. I mean, understandably, if you didn't have any blood, but um, and because I'm a black woman. They couldn't tell if I was pale or not. I mean, now people can tell. Now people are like, "Oh, you look, your pallor. I can tell. You had been pale. I could tell." I could tell now. They couldn't tell then, and I couldn't either. Seeing my face every day, I couldn't tell. Um, anyway, so I wound up having to stay at the hospital for 2 days, and they had to give me, I think, at least 4 or 5 packs of blood. I had to have transfusion. Yeah, 4 to 5 packs of blood um, before I could leave the hospital. So I wound up having to stay, yes, 2 days. Um, and then they wanted my blood to at least get back up to a 7. So at first yes, I think it was 5 packs, because they said they wanted me to, at first it was just 4, and then they gave me an extra one because it wasn't high enough. I was like at 6.6, and they wanted it to 7, a solid 7. And then they released me at that point. Um, and basically, I I almost died. I know I said almost died. I hate saying that because clearly it wasn't in God's plan for me to die, or I would have been dead, because my body was running when it shouldn't have been. And that's my miracle. My miracle was happening to me every single day. Even though the day was hard, even though I felt weak, I was literally living my miracle every day for I don't even know how many days, until God told me to, God decided it was time for me to uh, time for it to be fixed. Um, but my miracle happened every single day. Um, and that was my testimony, is that the Lord kept me. I was not keeping myself. I didn't even think something really serious was wrong. And if he hadn't decided to keep me, if he hadn't decided to maintain me, I would have been dead. I would have been, I, I wouldn't have made it to 2026. But I'm here. I'm here because he saved me. And my miracle was the fact that I was here. My miracle was the fact that I woke up. My miracle was the fact that I could walk around. My miracle was the fact that that I'm still here. So this was one of those times where God's miracle wasn't this, I don't know how else to describe that. You know, some of his miracles are like that. But this was a miracle that I experienced every day. Because my body should have quit. It should have gave up because it was running on nothing. I was running on fumes. And the body's not designed to run on fumes. But he kept me. And I had several doctors coming in the room telling me that, oh, it's because you're really healthy, while I'm sitting there extremely overweight. Oh, you because you're so young. You're so young and you're so healthy. While I'm sitting there, 32 years old, 32 going on 33. I mean, I honestly was turning 33 that month, towards the end of the month, and sitting there overweight, saying, oh, you're so healthy, and that's why. They didn't know why. They didn't know why I was still there. But I was still there because God decided that that wasn't the end for me. And he had decided it a while ago because they were shocked that I was still there. So, sorry, I don't mean to repeat it, but I guess I'm repeating it for myself too. That my miracle happened. I lived through my miracle. Every day I was awake, I had a walking, talking, I had a living miracle. My miracle was lived in. I don't know how else to describe it. I should have been dead. According to the doctors, I should have been dead. But there I was, walking and talking and walking around. I think that's going to be the end of this. It's about to be 40 minutes. I did recover. I had to have surgery. I can get into that maybe tomorrow. But I just wanted to share with you this, I guess this part of my testimony, or this one of my testimonies concerning this miracle. All right, thank you so much for listening. If you listened all the way through, I'm sorry I can talk on and on and on. Hopefully it wasn't too excruciating. And thank you for listening, and I hope you have a good day. Goodbye.